At 6:25 p.m. on Saturday, March 4th, 2023, the national utility firm Kenya Power reported a countrywide power outage, the fourth national blackout in 5 years in a row, plunging the entire country into darkness. Kenyans in reaction expressed dismay, anger and frustration over possible losses to businesses and concerns that critical installations like hospitals could have suffered a similar fate, including exposing patients on life support machines to unprecedented, unfortunate fate. For 3 hours before the power was restored, the outage caused huge financial losses and uneven disruption to work for people. However, those who were commercial buildings and residential apartments with generator backup power were not most affected. The country's sole power distributor enjoying absolute monopoly attributed to the outage to a faulty on the Suswalo-Yangalani transmission line in what it described as a system disturbance. On January 11, 2022, similar scenario played out when a third countrywide power outage was reported, throwing the whole country into a 4 hours blackout after a transmission line allegedly broke down. The then Director of Criminal Investigations at DCI, George Kinoti, announced probe into Kenya Power operations following intermittent power outages. Kinoti said that his officers had taken interest in the collapse of 4 steel pylons in Nairobi, Imara Daima, that caused a nationwide blackout for 4 hours. Kenya Power initially attributed the major power blackout on vandalism by scrap metal dealers, which had weakened the heavy structures. According to the utility company, the vandals came from the nearby Mukuru kwa Jenga slums, from where they incrementally cut away at the towers, usually at night, and later sold the steel pieces to scrap metal dealers. The country suffered a similar experience in October 2020, when widespread power outage that ran until late in the night sparked renewed uproar over the highly monopolized nature of power distribution in the country. Majorly, the outage affected 2 major lines supplying parts of Nairobi, Rift Valley, Western Kenya and South Nyanza. The then Kenya Power Managing Director Bernard Ngugi's led institution did not give elaborate explanation on what caused what they termed as technical hitch. The power outage occurred at around 7 p.m., but 3 hours later, around 9 currently, the Kenya Power and Lighting Company PLC Kenya Power has a monopoly on power sales, given its ownership and operationalization of most of the electricity transmission and distribution system in the country. As of June 2020, Kenya Power, the sole listed power distributor, was selling electricity to over 7.5 million clients. Pundits contend that a web of well-connected technical insider cartels working in collusion with external investor players have been frustrating full implementation of Energy Act 2019 that provides for the opening up of the sector. Effectively, the well-choreographed managed process thwarted efforts by state-owned Kenya Electricity Generating Company KenGen from direct electricity sales to create competition and efficiency. In March this year, KenGen expressed interest in targeting flower farms and large industries in the proposed Naivasha Industrial Park as first customers for the direct electricity sales. However, Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority EPRA is yet to act on this proposal. Until now, KenGen has been restricted to electricity generation alongside independent power producers IPPs. The high cost of production attributed to high cost of unreliable power supply has adversely affected key sectors. Earlier this week, the cabinet has approved the contracting of new independent power producers IPPs with the aim of increasing power generation in the country. According to the cabinet, the decision was arrived due to the current drought situation in the country that has reduced dispatch of hydroelectric power. The move comes after recommendations by the task force recommended by former President Uhuru Kenyatta to review PPAs signed between Kenya Power and all electricity generators in 2021. This came after revelations that Kenya Power had sunk into financial blackouts and debts in the financial year ended June the same year, after signing expensive power purchase agreements (PPAs) and that the installed capacity was greater than the peak demand. In June 2021, while appearing before the National Assembly Public Investments Committee (PIC), former Kenya Power Managing Director Bernard Ngugi declined to reveal the owners of the beneficiary farms and 17 power purchase agreements (PPAs) that committed the loss-making entity to the shady dealings. According to Kenya Power records, some of the listed independent power producers in the country are Ibera Africa Power, Tsavo Power, Thika Power, Biodual Kenya Limited, Mias Cogeneration and Opower 4. Others are Rabai Power, Imenti Tea Factory, Gikira Hydro, Triumph Power, Gulf Power and Regen Terem Hydro. Kenya Power's electricity purchase cost stood at about 82.1 billion shillings in the financial year 2020, accounting for over half of its operating costs. In December last year, lawyer Joy Brenda Masinde, a close ally of President William Ruto, was appointed as board chairperson of Kenya Power. Masinde succeeded her predecessor Vivian Yeda, who served for 2 years as the board's chairperson. Yeda was kicked out of the board by the Treasury barely 3 years after joining the firm. Masinde played a key role in Kenya Kwanza ahead of the last year's August polls, in which he became victorious. She has been appointed alongside 6 other directors during the utilities annual general meeting (AGM) held on Friday. Other directors include National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndung'u, Principal Secretary Ministry of Energy and Petroleum Dr. Duncan Ojwang, Engineer Albert Mugo, Logan Christie and Veska Kagongo. Stanley Lugaria, The Informer, uncovering the truth.